incident. Now, the next story I want to talk about, which was really disappointing, and this brother has spoke out against us a lot in the past, but I think it's important to highlight, whenever we have a black man or a black woman in America who is in a prominent position, just meaning they're on TV, they're in front of the media, they're in a position to reach millions of people every day. It's important that we call them out when they do things that can negatively affect the black community as a whole, right? Because one of my biggest rules is if it's gonna take a lot for me to reprimand somebody black publicly. That's gonna take a lot. When there's so many different ways to contact people these days. You can reach them on different forms of social media. You can reach out to somebody that knows them. There's a lot of ways to contact people. So before I would go on TV and speak disparagingly about somebody black, I would try to contact them first, or I would contact them first, right? I wouldn't, like I was saying before, there has to be a code of conduct that we follow when it comes to how we deal with one another, right? And I only bring this up because LeBron came out after all of this, after this video came out of a shooting that took place with our brother Ahmad Arbury, and I'm going to talk more about that later. My topic will have something to do about the assassination of our brother. But LeBron James basically came out and said that we get hunted in the street. He said we get hunted every day, was his exact words. And he was upset. He should have been upset. He's a black man in this country who realizes that regardless of how much money he has, he's still a target. His kids are still a target, right? He understands the target is still on his back and the pressure is still on at all times, you feel me? So he's speaking out against that, and that's something LeBron has been doing for a while now, and I appreciate that from the brother. I really respect the stance that he takes when it comes to what he see happens or the injustices that he see happens to his people. He's supposed to do that shit, right? Now, Jason Whitlock, who is a fucking coon, and if any of you black folks aren't aware of what a goddamn coon is, if you do anything that negatively impacts black folks, and you know it, if you knowingly, here the key sense, here's the key phrase, if you knowingly do something that's going to negatively impact black folks as a whole, you are a fucking coon and you're setting us back. And Jason Whitlock is a great example of that. Jason Whitlock, who, keep in mind, in the past when LeBron James, he has a thing with LeBron James. When LeBron James has came out in the past and mentioned things, when LeBron James had nigga written on his garage in LA, Jason Whitlock came out and said, well, he shouldn't worry about that because he's far removed away from racism. I don't know what he's talking about being targeted. He's rich now. He ain't got to deal with that. You feel me? So this is this cool motherfucker's mentality, like I was saying a little earlier, as far as thinking, now that I have money, now that I have a claim, now that I'm revered by white society, somehow I'm excused from the shit that goes on with black folks, and that's just not the fucking case, right? So Jason Whitlock comes out and says LeBron James is just saying these things. He's just come out and saying these things because he wants to be revered as more woke than Michael Jordan. That he wants to appear as being more outspoken than Michael Jordan. If that ain't the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life, that's why when I look at him, when I look at black men like Jesse Peterson, when I look at black men who openly speak negatively about black people in such a blatant way, and these is college educated dudes, I'm to believe that they know what the fuck they saying, right? I'm to believe that they doing this for the news station that they working for, just to get clicks, just to get attention, just for clickbait, just for trolling purposes. You see what I'm saying? I know goddamn well he's not that stupid. You feel me? That's why I call the brother a coon, because I don't think he's as stupid as he's letting on. You basically saying that he's only saying this to be more outspoken than Jordan. Jordan wasn't outspoken at all. Have y'all watched the Last Dance? I love the brother as an athlete, but he didn't give a fuck about us like that. He was about competing and selling shoes. And that was it, right? And he was an asshole, right? And he was an asshole and hella disrespectful. So LeBron ain't exhibiting none of those characteristics at all. He hasn't ever. So to come out and say some shit like this, in my opinion, I think the brother's just trolling. It's like a media form of trolling. And he doesn't really have an allegiance to the black community. So that's an extremely dangerous type of black man in our society, family. Because if another if we have young black people watching his show, if we have young black people watching what he does on TV, and they haven't been educated on the injustices of our country, or they haven't been educated on the disenfranchisement of black people world over, if they haven't been taught about these things, and they're going to hear this big, fat fucking coon talk this same type of shit, and they're going to be thinking, okay, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's not smart enough to decipher when somebody is full of shit, or when somebody is really speaking some shit that's 100, right? Everybody isn't smart enough to decipher that. And that's the unfortunate part about our society, but that's just how it is. Donald Trump shows us that every day. He says outlandish, stupid shit, and people still follow him. People still will call the CDC or call different places to see if it's okay for them to drink pneumonia or drink alcohol, whatever the fuck he said. People are that goddamn stupid to a degree, right? So when I see black men like Jason Whitlock in our society, it's important that we point these type of black men out and know that we need to ostracize these motherfuckers. Like when we talk about unifying, when we talking about having a community, one thing we need to realize, family, is everybody can't go. That's a sad fact. Everybody's not going to want to go. Everybody's not going to have the aptitude to deal with this shit head on like we are. So we need to get rid of them. You feel me? We need to make sure that nobody takes them serious. They need to be the goddamn laughing stock of our community. Shit, in Haiti, before they went to war, goddamn, you know who they killed first? The snitches. Anybody they seen that wasn't gonna ride, anybody they seen that didn't have they back, they got rid of they motherfucking ass first. You feel me? You feel me? And that's how I see brothers like Jason Whitlock. So at this point, I don't take him serious. He said several of disparaging things about black people over the last few years that I've been paying attention to him. So we need to treat him like the goddamn clown that he is. You feel me? That's why it's important that we teach our families, we teach our children, we begin the education on the society that we live in and how that relates to the black man and the black woman. We need to start that conversation early as fuck, family. So when we experience men like this, my son, he laughs at this kind of, my youngest son who lived with me, laughs at this kind of shit too. We talk about these type of individuals in our community. We talk about these type of instances just so he can have a clear understanding. He can know who to not follow, but he can know who to pay attention to seriously and who not. You feel me? So fuck Jason Whitlock and any other black man in this country who feels that you can come out and openly speak negative about other black people, especially when you way off. Now, I'm not against black men and women talking about each other in a particular way, right? But if you're on a white platform saying some old negative coon shit, that make me feel like they put you up to it. You feel me? That made me feel like you doing this shit purposely to appease your boss. If that's the case, nigga, fuck you and kick rocks. We ain't got time for that shit. It's goddamn 2020 and we still got 40, 50-year-old black men out here talking about slavery was a choice, talking about fucking ain't no racism. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? So that's why it's important that we ostracize these assholes and we make sure everybody in our community know what they up to and what they represent. You feel me? So fuck Jason Whitlock. Next story. Now, a police officer